Just gonna wait for people to pop on. Facebook Live takes a few minutes to connect. I'm gonna be doing an easy stir fry, basically a chicken chow mein. Now, I'm not Asian, just FYI. And this may not be authentic. This is just the way, a busy mom. I'm still in my gym clothes from this morning. I'm running around picking up kids and I'm busy. So this is my version of like a chicken stir fry, and it could be done with any kind of protein. It could be done with any kind of vegetable. You can do it keto or low carb, and I'll give you some swap outs if you want to do that, or it can be like full Monty, like noodles and whatever you want. Hey Vinny, hey Steve. Okay, so a couple things. You should have a wok. It's very important to have a wok. In my remodel, I lost the ring that goes on the bottom of my wok because I have a rounded bottom wok. If you don't have the ring, you want a flat bottom wok. If you don't have a wok, guess what? Cast iron will work. You do not want to use a non-stick pan. That's what you don't want to use, okay? We're trying to get a good sear. Secondly, stir fries that we get out in an Asian restaurant have a way higher BTU than we can ever get at home. So it's difficult to get that sear. So a couple things. You want your wok to be screaming hot. I've got the heat on. I'm going to do a couple things, so I'm going to have to manage this for doing this Facebook Live. But you want this really hot. You're trying to get a sear. You don't want to have anything soupy. You don't want your meat saucy. You don't want your vegetables wet. Make sure everything's dry and kind of sitting out a little bit, maybe 20, 30 minutes beforehand. Be careful, if it's hot out, you don't want your chicken spoiling. But you don't want everything super cold because then it's going to cool down your wok. Now you're starting to see smoke coming off this sucker. And I'm going to turn it down because I want to show you a couple things before we get on here. So if you have a wok, use a wok. If you have a cast iron, that's just as good. Okay, so normally for chicken, I would do, no Uncle Ben's rice. Normally I would do chicken thighs, boneless, skinless, because I think the meat's better. I don't have it on hand. And this is the thing. Stir fries are a good way to use up whatever the heck you've got going on in your fridge. This isn't perfect cooking. This is what do we have on hand? I need a quick meal, okay? And something healthy. Okay, so you want to dry, can you guys see down below? You want to dry your chicken. You don't want it all like gooey, ooey, So I'm just going to go ahead and cut some really thin slices. The reason you want them thin is you want them to sear really well. And I'm just going to cut a couple pieces just to show you because I've got some pre-done. So you're just going to do really thin pieces. And then they're going to go in a bowl, and I'm not going to do it all right now. And you're going to put a slurry in this, and cornstarch is really your friend when you're doing Asian cooking. Now, if you're on keto or you're doing low carb, you can swap out arrowroot. But you really need a thickener in your sauce, excuse me. And what this does is it kind of gives a little barrier between your meat and it thickens as you're cooking, so it's not so soupy, okay? Because we're not trying to steam stuff. You're gonna do a little bit of soy sauce or tamarind or coconut aminos, okay? Which are like low carb, if you're gonna do that. So just put a couple tablespoons in there, no big deal. And you would have a lot more going on in here. Let me get my arrowroot over here. And then dry sherry, okay? And then you're just gonna kind of marinate that in it. Let that sit for like 30 minutes if you can, while you're prepping your vegetables. Hey Ron, hey, how's Georgia? Okay, so another thing is before you start doing any stir fry, you want everything prepared because you're working with a really hot wok, and you wanna kind of it's just like, it's fast, it's an assembly line. So because I'm trying to tell you about a couple different things, I'm gonna kind of pause and kind of move over. I'm gonna take this chicken. I'm not gonna cut this right now because I'm not gonna waste my time showing you that. You already get the idea. You wanna cut it thin, you want it to be dry. You don't want it super cold. Like pull it out of the fridge, let it sit out and get to like a little bit more room temp. I mean, I'm not saying leave it out all day. I'm saying like maybe 20 minutes because anything cold that's going in here is going to lower the heat on your wok, and you want this screaming hot. Same thing with the veg. Okay, I'm gonna be out of screen for a sec. Put my chicken over here. All right. So the magic of Facebook Live, I have some chicken that I already did. And it's still kind of cold. I've had it out for like 20 minutes and it's still kind of cold. So it just is. So I'm gonna crank up my heat. I wanna get this screaming hot. I'm gonna wait before, I'm not gonna put my oil in yet. I'm gonna let it get really hot. You can kind of see, when it's gonna get hot, you can see like the heat coming off of it. You wanna use like a vegetable oil or a grapeseed oil because you want a high smoke point. Peanut oil works if you like peanut oil and you don't have a peanut allergy. You love being home. Yes, I'm glad the hurricane has missed you. Very much. Okay, so I'm gonna add just maybe like a tablespoon of oil, like at the most. And I'm not gonna put all this meat in at once. I wanna put just a little bit. See, it's not, yeah, it is, okay. So this is in the cornstarch, that one I just showed you. And I gotta watch my wok because I don't have that ring. But you wanna just put some of the meat, and you wanna do it kind of in batches. I don't want to steam this meat. I want it to be really, really, really hot. Okay, it's kind of hard to do this without my ring. And you can get those rings on Amazon. They're really easy to get. Okay, so you're gonna put your chicken in here, and I just want to kind of get it all over the sides of the wok. And then I'm gonna leave it. I don't want to be like stirring. I want there to be a sear on this wok. I'm gonna get some. Let's see. I like this. I like to use this, and it does burn it a little bit, but they're really inexpensive. About 2 to 3 minutes at the most, okay? And I'm just trying to get a nice sear. I want it to caramelize. I don't want to have boiled meat. I don't want to have soggy, soupy meat. I'm not trying to make a soup. I want everything to be I'm gonna do it in batches, if you will. And I like to put the protein in first just because I want to get it seared, and I'm going to take it out and then I'm going to do my veg. And the veg can be whatever you like, okay? There we go. Gotta watch out because it's hot. I've got a nice sear on this. I'm going to move the chicken around. Once you get that one side seared, you can start moving it around a little bit. Okay, so right now, does anybody out there, do you make stir fries? If you do, give me a thumbs up, and I'd like to know what you do. Do you make everything your own? You make your own sauce? Because I want to give you some ideas on some sauces you can make. You don't have to buy a bottled sauce. You can just make something really easy. There's very few ingredients in these sauces, and of course you can buy one if you want. It's not a big deal. See, look how beautiful. I'm getting a nice sear on that chicken. Can you see in there? And that's what you want. You want nice, let me get a piece up, nice sear on the meat, okay? Just keep it moving. All right, I'm gonna move this chicken out of the way because I'm just gonna do a small batch. Oops, got flying chicken. All right, next, I'm gonna bring in some ingredients here, and we can talk about them as we go along. Stir fry is food for all. Do you fry it on the high? Yes, I'm keeping it high, like the whole time. I want to sear. This is the whole idea of a wok. The reason it's got this big open to distribute the heat is so that you get a good sear on your stuff. And man, it's flying out. Ouch. Okay, you want to get a good sear on this. And then you're just going to keep adding oil as you need it, doing everything in batches. All right? I'm coming. So let's talk about vegetables. You can put in whatever you like. It's totally your discretion. Since I'm making a chicken chow mein, I'm adding noodles to mine. Now I get those ramen noodles that are like soft. They're a Japanese noodle. They're like an egg noodle. You can do a rice noodle. You don't want to boil them. You just want to soak them in warm water. And then you're going to stir fry them in here, or you can buy them pre-done. You don't want a soupy, like, well-done noodle, okay? You want it to have some firmness to it. You could even use ramen packets, you guys. If you're just, like, at home and you're just like, this looks good. You can get some top ramen. Literally, it's like, it's garbage, but you could make the noodles. Just don't let them get super soggy, and then you could toss them in there as well, okay? All right, I'm going to take this chicken out, because it's done, all right? So I'm just gonna dump that into my bowl. And I've got some remnants of chicken, that's okay. I'm just gonna do this quick for you guys. I'm gonna add a little bit more noodle, or a little bit more oil. Now I'm gonna do my vegetables. I wanna do those separate. So first I wanna do my vegetables that require a little bit more attention. So I'm gonna do some red and yellow onion, white onions, and get that going. And you could do red bell peppers, you could do zucchini, whatever you like. Zucchinis get a little mushy, so I don't really love zucchinis in that. Broccoli is great, broccolini is great. I'm gonna put some asparagus in there. Green beans are great, whatever you like, whatever you have in there. Carrots, you name it, okay? So I've got this on high heat. I'm gonna add just a little bit more oil to the side. And I bought this kit that just has stuff in it. Like when you're ultimately lazy, this is the way to go. You can sit there and cut up whatever you have if you've got cabbage, but this has everything. This is broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, snow peas, a little bit of carrot. It comes with a teriyaki pack. I'm not gonna use that. I just don't like the prepared sauces. They're very high in sugar. So if you like that, go for it. I'm just gonna add my vegetables in here. I don't know where that packet is. I don't want this. There it is. I don't want to sneak in there and melt. All right, so here's all the beautiful vegetables in here, you guys can see. And I just want to keep stir frying these. I don't want them soggy. I'm going to add a little bit more oil anytime you need. I don't want them to be soggy, but I want them to caramelize a little bit. When you're doing stir fry, traditional stir fry sauces have sugar in them. And if you're trying to do low carb or a keto type diet, that's a no-no. So you're kind of missing a big element of the part of cooking, the caramelization that you're looking for. So just keep that in mind if you're doing a keto type recipe, that you're gonna miss some of that caramelization that goes on that you're used to in Chinese food or Asian stir fry food, okay? So my vegetables are starting to like really look beautiful. I'm just looking for them to, I don't want them wilted. I don't want them like, you know, mush city. I just want them to look soft, but a little bit of crunch to them, okay? So I'm gonna keep letting that go. I'm gonna put it on power boil. And then I'm gonna return my chicken to this and my noodles, and then I'm gonna add some sauce to it. Now, noodles. Let's talk about noodles if you're on a ketogenic diet. So, I'm gonna come back here. We talked earlier about shirataki noodles. I don't know if you've ever seen these. These are made from a yam, and they have the most off-putting smell ever. They kind of smell like fish, like seriously smell like fish. What you need to do is you need to put them in a strainer and rinse them really well, like for 5 minutes, rinse them, okay? And then you want to let them sit in the sink and just drain, okay? Once they've been sitting there for maybe like, I let them sit there for like an hour in my sink. Once they start to drain, take a paper towel and you want to blot them. You don't want to put anything in here that has moisture. So like I talked about earlier, you don't want soupy meat, you don't want your vegetables to be wet. You don't want anything in this wok that's going to reduce the heat. Look how beautiful the vegetables are looking there. They're starting to caramelize a little bit, but they're still crispy. Just another minute or so and they should be good. Beautiful. So if you're gonna do a keto or low carb, you wanna do these, here's the noodles. So I'll pull them up. They look like worms. They really don't have a taste. So it's kind of like tofu. You don't wanna get too freaked out about it. But they're not delicious, you know what I mean? But they are gonna take on the sauce. Last thing I'm gonna add, bean sprouts, okay? Just put a nice handful in there. And these just toast up really quick. You don't need to like spend a lot of time with these. And again, you just kind of stir them around. You want to get that nice sear on them. You know, they get that nice flavor. Good workout. You kind of make a mess. It just flicks everywhere. Just be prepared for it. You can clean up afterwards. You don't get too freaked out. All right, so you can see the vegetables are looking perfect, okay? I'm gonna add my chicken and my noodles back in here, and then I'm gonna add my sauce. I'm gonna add my chicken. I'm gonna add the noodles. I'm just gonna do this, I'm probably just gonna add half of these noodles right now because I'm making these in batches right now. I've got a lot of different kids with a lot of different taste buds. And you just kind of want to walk this. I'm just going to add a tiny bit more oil on the outside. All this vegetable, throw it back in the guy. And that looks delicious. And now we're going to talk about the sauce. It's hard to do a video with this because you have to be so on top of what you're doing with this. I'm just going to make sure that chicken's cooked through. Look at how beautiful. A couple things that I'm going to add. I'm actually going to turn the heat down because I want to talk to you guys for a minute before I add the sauce in. So I'm just going to kind of move this around, make sure it's flying everywhere, you guys. Couple things. Cater your stir fry to whatever it is you like. For me, I'm catering it to my kids. I want my kids to eat vegetables. Hi, Jeff. I want my kids to eat vegetables, and it's very difficult. So I add fun vegetables that I know they like. The bean sprouts look like noodles, so they just sort of disappear into the noodles, which is a good thing. I try not to do any kind of weird vegetables in there that I know they're not going to like. A couple things that my kids really do like, and I add them. They are definitely not for a ketogenic diet. Let me get them. My kids love these little corns. So I add them because it's something that my kids like. My kids love water chestnuts. Again, if you're doing a ketogenic diet, those have high carbs. You don't want to do that. But add what you like to your stir fry. I'm going to make a keto one next for me and my husband. I'm going to use the shirataki noodles. I have some asparagus. I'm going to do the kale and the broccoli and the bean sprouts and the cabbage and the onion and garlic. But I'm not going to add the regular noodle, and I'm not going to add like the water chestnut and the corn and all that because it's got a lot of carbs, you know, but it's totally up to you. Okay, so this is looking really good. Now we need to finish your stir fry, which means sauce. And then I like to add garlic at the end, shaved garlic, like really thin. And I like to add spring onions, green onions to it. So that, and sesame seeds. So again, whatever you like, you add. But I like to finish it. So let me show you a couple things about sauce. So this is a low carb sauce I make. And I'm just going to kind of read you the ingredients so you kind of know the difference. And I have my notes here because I don't want to like mess them up. But basically, there's the same thing. When you're doing a ketogenic sauce or a low carb sauce, you're basically swapping out the soy sauce for either this coconut aminos or the tamarind soy sauce because this has less inflammation, okay? The other thing you're gonna do is you're not gonna add sugar. There's always sugar in some sort of stir fry sauce. So what you can add is like a liquid stevia if you want. It's totally up to you, okay? So basically the sauce is, if you're gonna do a low carb one, is a half a cup of the coconut aminos, or this tamarind sauce, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, fresh ginger, fresh garlic or garlic crushed, and then apple cider vinegar or some sort of vinegar. You want to, the soy sauce is salty. You want to add some acid to it. And so the best way to do that is vinegar. And so if you're doing keto, like apple cider vinegar is totally the way to go. If you're not doing keto, I would do rice wine vinegar, or I would do like a, I'm trying to think of the word of it. Sherry, yes, sherry. So if you're doing a regular stir fry, you're gonna do 2 cloves of garlic, 1 teaspoon of ginger, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, 2 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, 1/4 cup of soy, 1/4 cup of broth. If you like sriracha, add sriracha. 1 teaspoon or more, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Again, you don't want sauce, like soupy stir fry. You want just a little bit on here. And so this is my low carb sauce that I made. I used arrowroot in this, you know, and I'm gonna put this on here. The kids won't know. I'm gonna turn it on high. I added the liquid stevia to give it a little sweetness. You don't want a lot of sauce. It doesn't need it. It really doesn't. We're so used to being sauced to death. And you want to taste the flavors of the chicken. The chicken was marinated. You put it in with the soy and all the cornstarch in there. So you've got flavors. All your ingredients have flavor. So you really don't need a lot of sauce, okay? But that's the last thing we're going to do. We're going to add this sauce. just about that much. And another thing I love to use, again, has a lot of sugar, is oyster sauce. And I am going to add a dollop in here. This is sweet. It adds a nice level of flavor. It kind of gives you more of that umami flavor that you expect from Asian cuisine. And it does help to caramelize stuff. Okay? Look how good that looks. Are you guys salivating right now? But even if you do like the full Monty, it's still healthier than going out to eat. It's still healthier than fast food because you're getting lots of veggies in here. The ratio of pasta or noodle is very low compared to the vegetable content in here. And then I'm going to finish it. And the way I like to finish, I'm going to bring these up here, is I love to do spring onion. So just put a little in there. I don't know if you guys like peppers, but if you do, these are in season right now. These chorizo peppers. These are so good. These peppers, they're very fresh tasting. They're very grassy with a citrusy note to them. And then they are hot, but not super hot. So they're more of a mild pepper. They look like this. They're a Japanese pepper. And here they are. They're delicious. So I'm going to add some, just a few in here, just to add a little bit of flavor on top. And then sesame seed. A little bit of sesame seed. You can do black, white, whatever you like. And just sprinkle it. And there you go. Super easy. I'm going to get a pot holder so I can lift this up. Super delicious. I mean, it takes literally, if I wasn't talking and bumbling through this because it's so hot, 10-15 minutes max. It's such an easy thing to do. You can throw this together with anything. You could do salmon, you could do shrimp, you could do beef. The trick to your meat is you want your meat dry and you want to slice it very thin. Everything the same across the grain, keep it tender. You want to use cornstarch on it before, or arrowroot if you're doing a ketogenic style diet. You want to put a little soy in there. Just put a little flavoring in there and toss it and let it sit there for like 30 minutes. And the cornstarch is really important. It's one of those ingredients that you just don't want to not have. Okay, even if you're doing keto, like the amount of cornstarch, like 1 teaspoon in this entire thing, it's so minimal. But again, if you're hardcore, I don't want the keto police coming after me. I'm like, you know, don't arrest me. I said cornstarch or I said a little bit of sugar, but yeah, don't do it if you're like being hardcore. I also want to tell you, I love using the garlic paste that we've talked about before, and then the ginger paste. If you have fresh ginger, use it. The way you want to do ginger and garlic when you have them fresh is you want to use your fine grater and you want to just grate it in here if you like garlic. By grating it, you're going to get that intense flavor in the beginning. If you have chunks, they're going to burn. They're going to burn on the side of your wok and they're going to get bitter. So you don't want that. You want it to be like fresh tasting, okay? If you have any questions, you can send me an email. I'm going to do the same basic thing for my keto one. Again, I'm using those shirataki yam noodles. Make sure you drain them. Make sure they sit so they're dry. We're not putting anything wet in here. Nothing cold, nothing wet. Everything's been brought out ahead of time. You're going to be organized before you start a stir fry. You're going to line everything up so you know exactly what you're doing. And it's boom, boom, boom. I can dump this into a dish and I can start another one. You just wipe out your pan, you know, like when you go to the little guys that do the little Japanese, you know how they just wipe it off at the end and do something else. It's very simple. You just can keep doing, you can cater it to like 3 different kinds of styles that you want to do. You don't want noodles? Don't do noodles. You want to do a keto fried rice? Use rice cauliflower. Just toast it up in here. Just make sure, again, that it's dry. If it's frozen, you know, let it defrost. Put it in a strainer, let it sit there, and then take a tea towel and really wring it out. You want that riced cauliflower really, really, really dry. You're gonna put some oil in your pan. You can put a little bit of onion in there, some garlic, throw that in, the riced cauliflower, toast it up, add some veggies if you want to, add your egg, sesame oil, I forgot sesame oil. Sesame oil has to be the finishing touch on your, just a little bit, like a teaspoon. Sesame oil, it doesn't have a high smoke point, so you don't want to cook with it. You want to finish with that, okay? Sesame oil has that nutty, like, delicious flavor that you're not sure, again, when you're eating it, like, what is that? But you know if it's missing. All right, guys? Here it is again. Bon appetit.